Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching In Depth
on Now You Know.
We're partnering with VLDR, the sneaker that's 100% vegan.
I like them because they slip on like slippers.
Yeah, and they're 100% waterproof, which seems kind of hard to believe.
But they are. I used to wear a big pair of combat boots just to keep my feet from getting wet. Now I don't even have to think about it going for walks in rain or puddles. My feet just stay dry.
And VLDRs are great because if you get them dirty, you can just throw them in the washing machine.
And they're made with Dymatex, which is a dual climate knit, which keeps your feet cool in the summer and warm in the winter.
As we all know, the textile industry is a large contributor to CO2 emissions in the world, but VLDR has cut traditional machine knit times from 45 minutes to 7 minutes, which reduces each pair's carbon footprint by over 600%.
And you get free exchanges and free returns. You have 90 days to decide if you like them.
VLDR has an incredible early holiday sale offer right now, so don't procrastinate and wait until the last minute to do your holiday shopping. This is the perfect gift, so check them out in the link below. And if you missed the holiday sale, click the link in the description and use our code NOWYOUKNOW to get $25 off your VLDR shoes. And we're sponsored by our friends at the solar-powered hotels in Schaumburg, Illinois, the Fairfield Inn & Suites by Marriott, and the TownePlace Suite Hotel right next door. They're both connected, and they're both solar-powered.
So this week, we're going to be talking about investments and different companies that you might be thinking about. But it's important to keep in mind that we are not financial advisors, but you should never take anything that we say as financial advice. You should do your own research.
And some of that research you can do over at our Now You Know Investor Club. So if you join our Patreon at the $10 level, you're going to get access to our Slack, which is over 700 of us now talking about all these kinds of cool investments. And I got to tell you, there's real power in that because when you have that many intelligent people looking at things, you get to see things that not a lot of people see.
And everyone understands EVs. I think that we might have one of the only places on the internet where everyone's talking about investing who understands EVs. So you don't have to convince people like, well, I don't know if the market share in the future is going to... Nope. Everyone's totally on board.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of things we're going to be reporting on today, we found out in our investor Slack. And we also host monthly meetings where we have presidents of companies come and talk to us, like we just had Mark Frohnmeyer from Arcimoto. So really cool place to hang out. Hope you join us there. All right, but let's get into it because a lot of people said after last week's show that they want to know even more companies. Are there more companies we can invest in, Zach and Jesse?
Yep.
Yes, there are. All right, so we divided this up into a few sections. This first section are EV companies, and we missed a couple last week.
Yep.
So
it was bound to happen.
It was.
I mean,
we're not perfect.
We had a week. We had 1 week to do it. So give us a little bit of a break, but we found a few more thanks to some people's suggestions.
All right, so this first company is called Electric Last Mile Solutions, which is probably why we missed them because it sounds like a sentence, not a company.
Right. It's very hard to do any internet research about this because if you type in electric last mile solutions, you don't find out a lot about the company. You find a lot of different articles about a lot of different things that are not about this company.
Right. So this company is actually in merger talks right now with a company called Forum Merger 3 Corporation, which is FIII on NASDAQ. And so it's not 100% sure that they're going to merge, but if they do, that would be the SPAC that would get them onto the NASDAQ. Their CEO and founder is James Taylor. No, not that James Taylor. This James Taylor, formerly at GM. And they're based in Auburn Mills, Michigan.
So for market cap, we're going to look at Forum, which is the actual publicly traded company that isn't currently Electric Last Mile Solutions. But either way, Forum's market cap is $353 million.
Now, what Electric Last Mile Solution, or ELMS, currently makes is an urban delivery van. And the range is about 150 to 200 miles, has a 2,400-pound payload, and they say it'll be produced in the next 2 years. So they don't have currently any revenue. And so here's the Forum stock chart, which isn't really mean much.
Right.
We currently do hold stock in Forum.
So why did you invest in Electric Last Mile Solutions, or ELMS, also hard to search for on the internet? It's a tree.
Well, I like electric vans. We've been big fans of the Nissan NV200 electric van. I think they're necessary, and I think a lot of companies would like to have one. Mm-hmm. So if this company can start producing electric vans, I think they're going to be a pretty hot item. They already have a production facility, a 675,000 square foot former Hummer plant in Mishawaka, Indiana, capable of producing 100,000 vehicles per year. Not that they're making that many, but that's how many they could make there. And their CEO, James Taylor, previously held executive positions at GM, Cadillac, and Hummer, and also at EV startups like Workhorse and Karma. So maybe he knows, he's been around the block. Maybe he knows what he's doing. All right, the next company up is Lion Electric. They were founded in 2008, and they just announced this week that they are doing a SPAC with Northern Genesis Acquisition. And so they will be under the ticker symbol LEV after the merger is completed. Currently, you can find them under the ticker symbol NGA on the New York Stock Exchange.
And that's partly why we didn't cover them last week. We are focusing on companies that you can invest in after all, not companies that simply exist.
And to your point, last week, they hadn't announced this yet.
Exactly.
Their CEO and founder is Marc Bedard. They're based in Quebec, Canada. Their market cap is $559 million, but after the merger is complete, it should be $1.9 billion.
So that's almost a quadrupling in value.
If everything works out the way they say it will.
Yes.
So currently, they've produced about 300 of these vehicles, the Lion 6 and the Lion 8, which are urban class 6 and 8 trucks, the Lion C, A, and M school buses, and the Lion M minibus.
So upcoming, they have an ambulance, a boom truck, and the Lions 5 and 7.
So far this year, they have an estimated $7.7 million in revenue. Their goal for 2024 is to have about 20,000 sales and $3.5 billion in revenue. Here is their 3-month stock chart, which really doesn't mean a whole lot because you're basically just looking at the merger company, but we do hold stock in this company.
So you might be saying, why are you investing in such a small company, guys? You know, do you really think that this is going to go far? And, well, it doesn't really have to. If this SPAC goes through, it's going to quadruple in market cap.
Yeah, and another thing I like about them is that they're not directly competing with Tesla.
Yet.
They're making things like buses and trucks, which Tesla isn't making yet.
I mean, I say yet, but if you're a company making an EV, the best you can do is not compete with Tesla yet.
This SPAC will pump about $500 million into the company, which they say they'll use to expand their advanced battery systems and construction of a highly automated battery assembly factory, along with a new vehicle manufacturing plant in the U.S. So currently they have a manufacturing facility near Montreal capable of making about 2,500 vehicles per year. And interesting to note is that they had an order this summer come in for 2,500 Lion 6 and 8s. So they have a back order, which is great to see. All right, let's move on to battery companies, which a lot of you were clamoring for. So let's see if there are any battery companies you can get your hands on.
Oh, one that you can actually invest in now is QuantumScape.
Yeah, they're QS on the New York Stock Exchange. They were founded in May of 2010, so 10 years ago, but they just SPAC'd in September and just finalized that SPAC on November 27th. So you can find them under QS on the New York Stock Exchange. Their CEO and founder is Jagdeep Singh.
They have about 100 employees, and they're based in San Jose, California.
Their market cap is $866 million. So they're currently working on lithium batteries. Okay, but why is that different than any other company working on lithium batteries?
Well, most lithium-ion batteries are kind of flammable. What they're working on should be safer.
Why?
It has a solid-state separator instead of a liquid electrolyte.
Oh.
And so this should mean that they're, both safer. They should be able to charge faster. They should have about 400 to 500 watt-hour per kilogram energy density. So that's kind of their thing.
Only problem is they haven't produced it yet, so there's no sales or revenue yet to speak of. Here is a look at their 3-month stock chart, and we are both invested in this company. Now, I got on board because of JB Straubel. He is on the board of directors of QuantumScape, and when I heard that he was on the board, I was like, oh, why is he on the board? That's pretty good. So honestly, I'm not sure if this company is even relevant if they can't come out with a high volume, low cost, safe, high energy density battery before 2024, which is the date they say they're going to come out with it. Because at the rate that Tesla is innovating, will this company even be relevant by then?
It's an excellent point, and it's kind of a risk because you're betting on solid state for further down the line than just like right now. Like they're not producing it now, and then what is going to happen in 2024? Are they going to say here's the battery cell and also here's the production line, or are they just going to go, we developed a cell, now we need to, I guess, develop a production line? Because batteries don't change the world unless you can produce a lot of them for not a lot of money.
Right. I mean, Tesla's battery day showed that in 2 or 3 years, they're going to have a much cheaper battery with a much higher energy density. So it might make this battery irrelevant. Right. So the next battery company is Microvast. They were founded in 2006, and they're in merger talks right now with a blank check company called Tuscan Holdings Corp. And according to Bloomberg, this has progressed to advanced levels. So this is risky, but if you wanted to invest in Tuscan Holdings Corp, they're listed on NASDAQ as THCBU.
But coming back to Microvast, the CEO is Yang Wu. They have about 2,500 employees worldwide. They claim to be based in Houston, Texas, although we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So in terms of market cap, we can only really look at Tuscan because they're the publicly traded company. They're worth about $300 million right now. A merger would create about a $2 billion plus dollar company.
So currently, this company makes batteries that are used in electric buses in Shanghai and New Zealand. They expect about $100 million in revenue this year.
And you can check out the 3-month stock chart of Tuscan Holdings.
Now, it doesn't mean a whole lot yet because they haven't even officially announced a deal. And we're currently holding stock in the company because if the deal does go through, it looks like it could be a whole lot bigger when the deal is done. Now, Microvast has some interesting things here. They have 700 plus R&D staff, so they're heavily into R&D, 30 plus PhDs, 100 plus master's degrees. So that shows that they are actually trying to innovate, which I like. They currently hold 426 patents or patent applications covering the whole lithium-ion chain. Again, I like to see that.
Microvast started lithium-ion production in Who's Who, China since 2009.
And the SPAC would raise another $200 million for them to spend on whatever they wanted, like battery expansion. And fun fact here is that Tuscan Holdings was originally formed looking for cannabis companies to take public. So I guess they're like,
hey, pot company, battery company, whatever.
All right, so the next battery company we're looking at here is Romeo Systems. They were founded in 2014, and they are in the middle of a SPAC as well with a blank check company, RMG Acquisition Corp., which will raise $384 million to invest in capacity expansion and R&D to further battery development for commercial vehicles. So currently you can find RMG Acquisition Corp. On the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol RMG.
The CEO is Lionel Selwood Jr., he worked at Faraday Future and SpaceX and GE. They are based in Los Angeles, California, and they have a market cap of $1.3 billion.
So currently they provide batteries in partnership with supplier Borg Warner to commercial truck manufacturers in North America and Europe. They have the Romeo Orion Pack, which is for short-haul trucks, the Apollo Pack for long-haul trucks, and the Hermes Pack for specialty trucks and buses.
They made $3.65 million in the first half of 2020, almost double that of what they earned in the first half of 2019 of $1.86 million. Here is the 3-month stock chart of RMG, which is the SPAC company. It is not Romeo Systems yet.
Right. And currently we do hold stock in the company. And again, the reason we're kind of speculating on this is that currently RMG Acquisition Corp market cap is $460 million. When the deal goes through, it should be worth over $1 billion. So Romeo currently has a 7 gigawatt hour capable manufacturing facility in LA that will serve medium duty short haul and heavy duty long haul, specialty and bus sector markets. They also have $544 million in contracted revenue.
But the thing that I'm most worried about that, especially if we wanted to hold this company after the SPAC, is that I think that a lot of that is coming from the Nikola partnership.
Oh.
They have a $384 million partnership with Nikola to produce batteries for their semi-truck, which I'm just going to go out on a limb. I don't think it's going to happen, which means that's going to knock down that $544 million contracted revenue number down to something more in the $200 million range. Not the end of the world. It just doesn't reflect very well on them to have been working with Nikola.
And the other thing I'd like to point out about this company is they don't make cells, they make packs. So they buy their cells from somebody, put them into packs, which is complicated.
Mm-hmm.
You got to manufacture them, you got to put in your own BMSs and all that. But they're relying on someone else to make the cells. And as we all know, getting cells can be hard.
Right. I think that cells might be a little bit more important. Which brings us right into the next company, Toshiba. You can find them over the counter as TOSYY.
Yeah, they were founded in 1875. They IPO'd in 1978 on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Their CEO is Nobuaki Kurematani.
They're based in Tokyo, Japan, and they have a market cap of $12.9 billion.
So currently they make the SCIB lithium titanium oxide, or LTO, negative electrode battery. And they claim that 40% of Japanese K cars carry the battery in them. Their next generation battery coming out is the Nobium titanium oxide NTO battery.
They had a revenue of $31.4 billion this year. That's down from $44 billion in 2017.
Yeah, they've been on kind of a steadily declining revenue. And here's a look at their 10-year stock chart. So we currently do not hold stock in Toshiba. Now, they currently do have new factories that they've built in Yokohama and India, and their batteries are used in a lot of places. They're used in trains, industrial systems, in virtual power plants, and stationary batteries as well. But I'll be honest, in our reporting on EVs and batteries and stuff for the past 5 years, Toshiba's name hardly ever comes up. I just don't know if they're like a super innovative company.
Right.
Now, this next battery company does not make batteries that go in cars. They actually make batteries for stationary grid storage.
EOS Energy Enterprises Incorporated. You can find them EOSE on NASDAQ. They were founded in 2008, and they just finished their SPAC. So brand new company.
Spackless company.
Spackled company. Their CEO is Joe Mastrangelo, and they have about 80 employees, and they're based in New Jersey.
They have a market cap of $683 million, and currently their technology is an aqueous zinc battery for grid storage, and they have orders of $2.5 billion. And that's what attracted us to this company. They have an estimated annual revenue of $16.8 million. Here's their stock chart for the past few months. And yes, we hold this stock. Why? Well, because as we've reported to you guys for years, as more and more utility companies realize that they need batteries, they go out looking for battery companies. And these guys make a battery.
EOS has a manufacturing plant in Pittsburgh, which they co-own with Holtec International.
Yeah, unlike a lot of other lithium-ion battery makers that ran out of capital and went out of business, EOS is waited until it has orders before spending money on huge factories. So in early November, EOS unveiled a deal to supply developer Hecate with 1 gigawatt hour of zinc batteries worth approximately $250 million for projects in Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. And so they've been kind of waiting until people finally got it, put in the orders, and then they're like, now we'll build it up. So that was pretty smart.
And with the incoming Biden presidency and, commitments to move to sustainable energy, one problem with renewables is that you need to store the power in order to have stable power throughout the day. So having stationary batteries is one way that you're going to achieve that.
And stationary grid storage battery technology is completely different than the battery tech you need in a car. If you want to put a battery in a car, it has to be lightweight and all these different things. If you're going to put it in a stationary grid storage, it doesn't have to be lightweight, and you can make it out of completely different materials, which is what they do.
So the next company on our list is Tesla. Is that?
I've heard of them.
I think we've heard of them before. You can find them TSLA on NASDAQ. They're founded in 2003. They IPO'd in 2010. CEO Elon Musk. They employ 48,000 people. They're based in Fremont, California.
Now, the reason we're putting them on this list is, yes, they're a car company, but they also make
batteries, both for cars and also grid-tied. Along with all the other amazing things that they do, we just figured we would include them in the list to be complete.
So a lot of Tesla's success has been because of their partnership with Panasonic. Panasonic, as you know, is now kind of installed at the Gigafactory in Nevada, making batteries pretty much every day since 2016.
Right. And they make batteries for lots and lots of other auto manufacturers and other products that have batteries in them. So they certainly are a battery play. You can find them on over-the-counter PCRFY. They were founded in 1918, and they started listing on the New York Stock Exchange, but then dropped off in 2013, and they are now over the counter.
So their CEO is Kazuhiro Suga. They have 260,000 employees, and they're based in Osaka, Japan.
Their market cap is $27 billion, and their revenue last year was $76.5 billion.
Here's a stock chart from going back to the 90s, and yes, we do hold stock in Panasonic. So the relationship between Tesla and Panasonic is kind of hard to judge, right? Because now Tesla has partners like LG Chem and CATL, and so it's like, are they no longer best friends with Panasonic? But Panasonic is in the Gigafactory, so you got to think that that gives them a leg up on certain things. And a bunch of Tesla employees have gone on to work at Panasonic, so that kind of tightens the bonds, I think, between those two companies.
Right. All right, so the next segment on our list is charging companies. So this is everything from charging networks to companies that actually produce things that you plug your car in with.
Right. First company here is BLNK Charging, and you can find them on NASDAQ under the ticker symbol BLNK. They were founded in 1998, and they IPO'd in February of 2018.
The CEO and founder is Michael D. Farkas. They have 100 employees, and they're based in Miami Beach, Florida.
They have a market cap of $736 million. So currently, they claim to have about 23,000 mainly level 2 chargers that are installed in the U.S.
Now, they do have some fast chargers in the mix. They claim that there's going to be more DC fast chargers coming up as well.
The revenue for the first 9 months of 2020 grew 84% to $3.8 million. And I do want to point out that $3.8 million is not a lot of money for a company that has a market cap of $736 million. Here's their 9-month stock chart, and we do not hold stock in this company. So BLNK says that they generate revenue by charging EV drivers to power their cars, selling EV charging hardware, providing network connectivity, processing payments for its property partners, and from advertising. And basically, this is a network. And so let's look at some of their network numbers.
So they claim to have 5,600 commercial EV charging stations in 40 states, and they claim to have 8,900 residential charging stations. And they claim to have 15,000 EV charging stations throughout the US. But if you add the previous two numbers that we talked about, you almost get 15,000. So I think that that's what they're talking about.
Oh, you think they're like double counting the numbers there? Like,
kind of?
well, A more important number, I think, is that they have 180,000 registered members. And I think that's the number you should be looking at here. That's the number of people who potentially would use their network on a weekly basis. And I got to say, I mean, I'm one of their members and you're one of their members.
And I haven't used a Blink charger in 4 years.
Right, me too. So I gotta say that doesn't mean a whole lot, because sometimes you get, the Blink membership because you're charging at one, and then you may never go back to one.
Right. And I mean, the thing that I want to point out here is that in the state of Massachusetts where we live, there are 12 Blink chargers. You might be saying, well, maybe they're just not an East Coast company, even though they're in Florida. Take a look at San Francisco. They have 90, according to PlugShare. I don't think that they have the density to really justify me going to one of their chargers. I'm going to kind of skip it. If I'm like, oh, it's one of those not Chargepoint, which is the next company we're going to talk about, I might go, I'm just going to go to the supercharger, or I'm going to go to some other charger.
And the other key fact here is that they're largely level 2.
Right.
And so those of you who may not be totally into EVs yet are like, what does that mean? Level 2 isn't that fast of a charge. And so nowadays, unless you're going to leave it there for hours, you need something faster.
Right. I mean, Level 2 is great for your house, and it's also great for somewhere that you're going to be staying for a while.
Like work or overnight.
Or hotel. Level 2 doesn't work that well for shopping, in my opinion. It's a nice to have, but it's not going to save your bacon. Well, it will save your bacon, but it's not going to be convenient.
Right. So the next charging company is Chargepoint, and they were founded in 2007. And they IPO'd with a SPAC in September. So they're still working out that SPAC through Switchback Energy Acquisition Corp, or SBE, on the New York Stock Exchange.
Their CEO is Pascal Romano. They have 625 employees, and they're based in Campbell, California.
Their market cap is $1.2 billion, and currently they have more than 115,000 charging points globally, mostly in North America.
According to ChargePoint, they've delivered 85 million charges, 828 megawatt hours of electricity, and they're hoping to have 2.5 million chargers by 2025.
So let's take a look at their revenue. In 2019, they had a revenue of $147 million. In 2020, they're expected to have $135 million.
So compare that back to Blink, and that explains why we don't hold Blink. Although we also don't hold ChargePoint, and we're going to tell you why.
So we should mention that the SPAC is going to bring in $493 million in net proceeds to ChargePoint, which they can spend on building out their network. I did interview some of their management when I was in Europe last year. You can see our interview here. But I guess my feeling about ChargePoint, having worked with them both as an EV user and meeting their management, is that I just don't think it's that innovative a company. I mean, yes, you need chargers, but are their chargers like the best in the world, or are they like in the best locations?
Right.
They're ubiquitous, but I don't know. I don't get too excited about the company.
It's a good safety net for EV drivers. Like, I very much appreciate ChargePoint because in the rare times where something goes wrong and you're like, oh no, I'm stranded further away than I expected, or it's colder than I thought and I need a charge. Typically, there is a charge point somewhere within your vicinity that you can get to, and it will take a little bit longer than you would hope for, but you will be charging your car. Beyond that, they haven't done the best job of moving to fast chargers. I think that that's because a lot of their management don't drive EVs, and so, if you're kind of in the business and you're just like, whatever, we're making level 2 chargers and making a decent revenue with that, you're not going to be thinking too much about DC fast charging when that's all anyone wants to do now.
Yeah. Next up is ABB Ltd, or ABB, on the New York Stock Exchange. They were founded in 1988 and they IPO'd in 2013.
Their CEO is Bjorn Rosengren, and they employ 145,000 people, and they're based in Zurich, Switzerland.
They have a market cap of $55 billion, and currently they make many different types of chargers that you've seen pretty much everywhere. AC destination chargers, DC fast chargers, robots, all sorts of things. They're a big manufacturing company, and they're seemingly into every type of charging solution. Their revenue in 2019 was $27.9 billion. Here's a 5-year stock chart, and yes, we do hold stock in ABB.
So they make a lot of chargers for networks that I have visited.
And I just want to clarify here, you're not going to see the name ABB really big on these chargers because they're not the forward-facing brand. They're the company that makes the hardware for companies that put their name on the charger. So if you go to like a lot of Ionity chargers in Europe, for instance, they make the chargers, but they're just, down in the corner.
Right. Yes, and so I haven't had the best experience with some of their chargers. It might be because they break a lot, or it could be because EVgo is very, very bad at repairing them. So I don't know whether to think that they're really crummy, because maybe Tesla superchargers break all the time and they're just good at fixing them. I don't know, because I'm not like doing any scientific research. I'm just going to charge up my Leaf at a EVgo charger, and then I'm going to swear and kick the thing when it doesn't work, and then I have to call them, and it takes 20 minutes, and I have to press the big red button on the front of the thing, which people press sometimes because they're messing with it, and then the charger doesn't work. So that's kind of my thought about it. But EVgo isn't the only network that they make chargers for. They also do it for Electrify America and Ionity.
Yeah, and I bought stock in ABB because I've seen their robots and other machinery in a lot of EV manufacturing facilities. They're kind of a play on getting into EV infrastructure, because if you're going to make cars or batteries or whatever, you need robots, and ABB also makes those. The next charging company is Fastned. They were founded in 2012 and they IPO'd in June of 2019.
However, they're only available on the Euronext Stock Exchange, or AMS. So we can invest in them, but we know that we have a lot of European viewers, and well, we have absolutely no idea how it works to get on AMS. But if you can do it, we just wanted to let you know.
Their CEO is Michael Langezal. They have about 50 employees, and they're based in Amsterdam in the Netherlands.
They have a market cap of 400 million, and they currently have about 100 fast chargers in the Netherlands, Germany, and the UK.
They had 6.4 million euro revenue in 2019. Here's a look at their stock chart, and we currently don't own stock in them. Now, I met their CEO on our Model 3 Euro road trip back in 2019 when I was in the Netherlands, and I got a good feeling from the company. They really do understand EV users, and I visited some of their chargers, including this beautiful one with a solar canopy in Amsterdam. And what I like about them is they get it. They're trying to put out fast chargers in the right spots.
Right.
So they may not have as many as other networks, but they have fast ones.
And I think the other part, too, is that they really do get it. You can even tell it from their website. I mean, they have this thing called Tips and Tricks for Your Electric Spaceship. And it's like, yeah, only someone who drives a Tesla would call an EV an electric spaceship. Now, there are plenty of other EV networks that we would love to tell you about, but you can't invest in them. So unfortunately, we're just going to list them here. That would be Ionity. That's the European fast charging network. Electrify America, the American version of Ionity. Both of those Dieselgate settlement money. That's probably why they don't need to be on any stock exchanges, because they're still going through all those billions of dollars. Another one is Volta. And there are many others, and I encourage you to keep your eye out if any of them are IPOing or SPACing, and see if they're any good. My thought is that this is an open market, especially for fast and even slow charging companies. And I think that companies like Chargepoint and even Electrify America could get left behind if they don't keep up.
Yeah, I think charging is ripe for disruption, because I think a lot of these companies actually, even though they were early to the game, don't really get how EV drivers use charging. And so if a company came in and understood where to put them and what kind of chargers to put and made them easier to use, they could actually become a leader.
Because I think, like a lot of early EVs that were just kind of compliance cars, a lot of these charging networks were just made to service those compliance cars. They were kind of compliance networks, if you will. Now that we have real EVs with big ranges, a level 2 charging station is not going to charge up that car in a reasonable amount of time anymore. You know, it used to take 3 hours to charge a Leaf. To charge up my Tesla would take about 8 or 10 hours. This episode is brought to you by EcoWear. It's a great place to find a ton of different designs for shirts and hats and backpacks.
I like your new design.
Yeah, and this one freaking cool. You can find that all at EcoWear. Everything is carbon offset. So we carbon offset the manufacturing, the shipping, and the life cycle of the shirts. That's pretty much everything there is to do with the shirt.
And then we plant a tree for every order, making it carbon negative.
That's on top of the carbon offset that we already did. So it is a carbon negative shirt.
Yeah. And don't forget, there's free shipping on every order. All right, let's get back into it. So now let's talk about EV component companies.
All right, and the first one is EXRO Technologies. That is EXRO on the TSX exchange, but you can also get EXROF on over-the-counter.
Yep, they were founded in 2014 and they IPO'd at the end of 2017.
The CEO is Sue Ozdemir. They are based in Vancouver, Canada, and they have a market cap of $330 million.
So their current tech is two things: EXRO's coil-over motor controller tech and their intelligent BMS, or IBMS. Now, they've announced partnerships with over 8 companies so far, including Zero, C Electric, Motorino, and Heisman. But so far, there's been no revenue.
And here is the stock chart, and we do hold EXRO.
Yeah, I bought stock in EXRO as soon as we talked to their CCO, Josh Sobel. You can see the interview up here, because I realized that this motor controller changes everything. Like, since we've been working on converting EVs and lawnmowers, I've started to wrap my head around what this actually means. And when you come up with an intelligent motor controller, you actually get to get more out of that motor than you could before.
You can actually do away with putting a physical gearbox into, say, a Zero motorcycle just by having this motor controller, which eliminates a whole bunch of parts when you're producing something, and that is a huge game changer. So we really encourage you to check out that interview because it was really, really interesting.
The next company here is XL Fleet. They were founded in 2009 as XL Hybrids. They're currently going through a SPAC with Pivotal Investment Corporation 2, or PIC, on the New York Stock Exchange. And so that's how you can find them now, under PIC. But then they will become XL once the merger is completed.
Their CEO is Dmitry Kazarinov. They are based in Boston, Massachusetts, and the market cap of Pivotal, that is the company that will SPAC with them, is currently $395 million.
So currently they provide electrified powertrain solutions for U.S. and Canadian commercial class 2 through 6 fleet vehicles built mainly by Ford and GM.
And here's their 6-month stock chart, and we do not hold any XL Fleet.
The SPAC will provide the company with $350 million in cash. They say that our XLP plug-in hybrid electric and XLH hybrid electric upfit solutions seamlessly install onto many of the most popular gasoline and diesel fleet vehicles, including pickup trucks, cargo and passenger vans, commercial vans, and shuttles, box trucks, and delivery vans. So the idea here is that if you have a fleet of vehicles and you want to make them more efficient, you call up XL Fleet and they help hybridize your fleet. So is this an EV play?
Kind of. I think that it's really interesting, and I think that there could be more potential similar to this in the future with companies that might actually convert cars outright from gas to electric.
What I'm not super excited about is that this is still a hybrid powertrain, so it still includes a gas burning engine. All right, so the next segment we're going to look at are autonomous and Lidar companies. Now, the first company here is Luminar, and they make Lidar. And you might be saying, hey, whoa, hold on there, guys. Lidar, Tesla doesn't use Lidar, so why are we even talking about it?
Well, don't shoot the messenger. We just thought that we should put together the list of every company that we could think of, and Luminar was one of them.
So Luminar is in the middle of a SPAC right now. So they're SPACing with Gores Metropolis Incorporated, or GMHI, on the NASDAQ, and then they will become LAZR on NASDAQ once they're done.
And this should happen in Q4 of 2020. So that should be pretty much any day now.
Right. They were founded in 2012, and their CEO and founder is Austin Russell, who, get this, he founded the company when he was 16 years old.
Wow. They have 350 employees, and they're based in San Jose, California. The SPACing company has a market cap of $850 million, but the post-merger valuation should be $3.4 billion.
Their current tech is the Hydra LiDAR system, which is just for, I guess, testing right now. And then their upcoming tech, which looks like it'll come out in 2022, is the Iris LiDAR system.
They have an expected revenue of $15 million, and here is their 1-year stock chart.
So we do not currently own stock in this company. Now, Volvo will be producing vehicles in 2022 with Luminar's LiDAR and Hydra perception stack.
And Luminar has 50 different partnerships announced so far this year. They claim to have the only LiDAR that meets all key OEM requirements for autonomy. And kind of their big play is that they think that this LiDAR solution is going to go in passenger vehicles. That is, vehicles that, consumers are going to buy, whereas a lot of other autonomy companies and LiDAR companies are more focused on robotaxis, so they think that they have the market cornered.
So wait, let me get this straight. So I understand that some companies are going for the fully autonomous network, market, and that Luminar is also going for just regular cars. Why would I want my regular car to have LiDAR in it?
Well, I think that there is the argument that some people would want a full self-driving car that they own because they don't want the dirty, smelly people to get in their public car, or they don't want to get in a public vehicle. I think that it also looks better on their balance sheet to say, like, hey, instead of making a smaller number of robotaxis that serve a large amount of people, we will just sell individual cars to people like we've been doing for a long time, and we get a bigger piece of the pie because each of those vehicles will have our system on it, which is expensive.
All right, the next LiDAR company is Aeva, and they founded in 2016, and currently they are SPACing with a company which should complete in Q1 of 2021. So the company they're SPACing with is Inter-Private Acquisition, or IPV, on the New York Stock Exchange. And then when they're done with that SPAC, they will be AEVA on the New York Stock Exchange.
The CEO and founder is Sarush Salehan. They have 75 employees, and they're based in Mountain View, California.
So their pre-IPO valuation, so the valuation of IPV, is $341 million. Their post-valuation is estimated to be $2.1 billion.
Aeva currently makes Ares, which is what they claim to be the first 4D LiDAR on chip.
And I want to raise a question about whether it's current or not, because if you go on their website to buy it and you click on I'm interested, you just get to like a fill in this, email thing. So I'm a little worried that maybe it's not ready yet or they don't have full production or something, because otherwise it seems like it would be more readily available. And their website just seems to be geared towards investing and not towards production.
Yeah.
So far they've had revenue of $24.4 million. And here's a look at their 6-month stock chart. And this is the stock chart for IPV, not for Aeva yet, because it's not really publicly traded yet. And we do not currently hold stock in the company. So they're founded by former Apple engineers. They have strategic investments with Porsche, and last year they formed a partnership with Audi, so that's really good to see. They have production partnerships with ZF, one of the world's largest Tier 1 manufacturers. And Mina Rezic, the co-founder and CTO at Aeva, said, "From the beginning, we believed that the only way to achieve the holy grail of LiDAR is to be integrated on a chip. We can use our development efforts to expand into new markets that were simply not possible before."
All right, the next company we're talking about is Velodyne Lidar, or VLDR, on NASDAQ. They were founded in 1983, and they just SPAC'd on September 30th of 2020.
I'm sorry, you said they were founded in 1983. I don't remember LiDAR being around in 1983. I remember this band being around.
We're going to get to that.
Oh, okay. Their CEO is Anand Gopalan. They have about 500 employees, and they're based in San Jose, California.
They have a market cap of $2.6 billion, and they currently make the Velodyne Puck, Ultra Puck, Alpha Prime, and Veloray.
In 2019, they had $101.1 million of revenue. This is their 6-month stock chart, and we currently do not hold stock in the company.
So to get back to the 1983.
Yeah, how's that possible?
Velodyne was first founded as an audio company by David Hall. He also then had a spin-off company that was a boat company with a self-stabilization technology.
I'm sorry.
And then... So yeah, you could buy headphones from this company, you could buy a boat, and now you can also buy LiDAR.
Oh, so he's a serial inventor.
Yeah, and he's still on the board of Velodyne.
Yeah, he invented 3D LiDAR in 2005. He was in the original DARPA challenge. Like, this guy goes back. He knows his stuff.
Right.
Also, Velodyne, what a cool name for a company. It just sounds like one of those companies from like RoboCop that's like, we are Velodyne, we make everything.
Yeah, but we don't hold stock in them because we just really don't think that LiDAR is going to be the solution to full self-driving.
But what about self-riding boats?
Well, that's a different company.
All right, so here's a company if you want to get into autonomy. This is Mobileye, and they were founded in 1999, and they IPO'd in 2014. But I went online and I couldn't buy stock in them.
Yes, that is because Intel bought them in 2018. We're going to get more into that in a little bit.
Their CEO and CTO is Amnon Shashua.
They have 1,700 employees, and they're based in Jerusalem, Israel. They have a market cap of $200 billion.
Well, that's Intel's market cap.
Oh, I see. Currently, they make the IQ chip, REM, RSS, and Mobileye 6 and 8.
They have a revenue of $879 million, but that's, again, Intel's revenue. Here is their stock chart of Intel, and we do own stock in Intel. And so what's interesting here is that Mobileye used to be the AP provider for Tesla up until 2016 when Elon didn't quite see eye to eye with Mobileye.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to move in different directions. And so Elon wanted to move faster than Mobileye was comfortable with. And so they kind of split apart. But they are a strong player in the autonomy field. And the only way now to get into Mobileye is to buy them through Intel.
And that's not unique for a lot of different autonomous driving companies. So let's go through them now. So if you wanted to get into cruise automation, you have to buy GM because they own it. If you wanted to get into Argo AI, you have to buy either Ford or Volkswagen. If you wanted to do Waymo, you have to buy Google or Alphabet. Apollo, you have to get Baidu. Motional is owned by Aptiv and Hyundai. So Aptiv is a connector company. They make electrical connectors, and Hyundai is a car company. If you wanted to get into Pony, you'd have to invest in Toyota or Hyundai. If you wanted to get into Zoox,
they were bought out by Amazon for over $2 billion, so you have to buy Amazon.
And if you wanted to get into Uber ATG,
which is their autonomous driving department,
yes, you'd get into, well, Uber, obviously. There's also Aurora, which is still completely private. There is one way you could get in.
Oh, yeah?
The Canadian Pension Fund.
Oh, so I move to Canada, become a teacher or something.
And then retire.
So perfect.
It's a little bit more complicated than even some of these like over-the-counter ones. I don't know. You could try it.
And then you're forgetting about Tesla's robotaxi. How do I get into that?
You'd have to invest in Tesla, which means you'd be dealing with it's an auto manufacturer. It's also solar manufacturer, and going to be a power company. So it's
there is another way, but you'd have to go to the Now You Know Investor Club to find out how.
Ooh.
And up next are some companies that are on our radar, but you can't publicly buy them yet. Maybe you never will. Who knows? One of them is Faraday Future. I mean, that's an EV company that I know you're dying to get into.
It's it's kind of a Frankenstein company at this point to me. The promise of Faraday Future kind of died many times over as they were like, a new scandal from Faraday Future. So I'm not excited to get into this company, but keep your eye on it. Who knows? Someone might pick it up, dust it off, and see if they can make something good out of it.
Next is CATL, or the Contemporary Amperage.
Yeah, absolutely.
What does it stand for?
I don't know. I just call it cattle.
It's cattle. Yeah, it's only traded on Shenzhen's Chinex board, so you can get it, but only pretty much if you're in China.
It's not a bad play.
No.
They are a big battery manufacturer. I've definitely, if I lived in China, I guess I would want to invest in that.
Next is Northvolt, which is a Swedish lithium-ion battery maker. They're backed by VW and BMW, and they recently secured $1.6 billion in debt financing. They plan to have 25% market share of European EV battery production, but they're privately held,
so you can't get them. Another one would be Highview Power. This is another stationary energy storage solution. This one doesn't use batteries, but in fact uses pressurized air. And we actually spoke with their CEO, Javier Cavada, and you can check out the interview right over there.
All right, so the next one here is LG Chem, and you might be asking, guys, why didn't you cover LG Chem? You can invest in them, right? Well, actually, they just split off their energy division just the other day, December 1st, into LG Energy Solutions, and we don't know how to invest in them yet.
So it seems that we probably will be able to invest in them very soon, so keep your ear to the ground on that one. It should be on your radar. But yeah, for right now, we don't know how you get in.
They employ 22,000 people. They expect revenue this year to be about 11.7 billion, and they project to have 27 billion of revenue in 2024. Honorable mention goes to Samsung. They're a 400 billion market cap company that makes everything from electronics to batteries, but we only seem to be able to buy them through an ETF or on the London or Luxembourg exchanges. So hard to get into.
And I look forward to talking about all of these different companies over on our Investor Club Slack channel.
Yeah, having a lot of intelligent investors over there means that we get kind of the best information and we can distill it all down and give it to you. And then you can head over there and have deep conversations about things that are important to you. Like right now you might be like, oh, there's this company and I want to talk about whether, they have enough production or they have enough this or that. Head on over to the Slack. Ask the question, and there'll be people who want to talk about it with you. Which I got to say is the part about investing, which usually means you're alone at your computer and you're like, I don't know if I should do this. And that's the part where usually you make a bad decision because you either like just make it out of fear or you make it out of FOMO. And this way, you actually make an intelligent decision.
Not only that, but we also have regular meetings where sometimes we bring in the presidents and CEOs of different companies. So you can actually ask them a direct question, which I don't know too many other places where you can do that.
Yeah, we're kind of unique.
Kind of unique in that respect, and we really owe it all to our patrons. So if you want to head over to patreon.com/nowyouknow, you can sign up for the Now You Know Investor Club. You'll help support this channel, and you'll also get access to the Slack that we mentioned, as well as the live streams.
Yeah, because if we're going to move this planet towards a better future, we have to put our money where our mouth is, and we have to invest in the companies that are doing the right things. But at the same time, you don't want to invest in companies that aren't going to pay off for you. So this is like the best of both worlds. You get to invest, make some money, and move the needle towards a greener and more sustainable future.
Thank you so much for watching.
Now you know.